heard the talk of old ideas and making copies that sounded almost like a diss. So I thought I'd dust one off that started right, but ended sloppy, and show everyone just what was missed. So forget all you thought you knew, for half of it just isn't true. Enough is enough of the mirrors and smoke. Without further ado, I give you Mr. Palancar has stated that for whatever reasons, either personal beliefs or a predetermined skill level needed to decipher the clues and solve the puzzles, that Roanoke would most likely be next in line to be solved. I believe this is what he would like to see. I also believe this is what needs to be, so I figured I'd oblige. First, let us take a moment to talk of another quote, one I feel is very important. This one was not made by Mr. John Palancar, but rather by his son, Kit Palancar, who is also a very talented artist. This quote is of Kit saying his father, John Jude Palancar, told him in reference to the secret paintings that they are where it's buried and hiding in plain sight. The conversation about this quote can be found at exactly 37 minutes of the secret podcast titled An Evening with Kit Palancar. And while Kit in that conversation pleaded the fifth, we all know this to be an off-the-books confirmation. I will also say I believe this to be true for all 12 images, either in a clever, artistic representation sort of manner, or in direct one-to-one matches to what they represent in real life. Speaking of one-to-one matches, and last, before we get started, recently Mr. Palancar has also stated there is something as huge as the Cleveland Wall that has been in our face the entire time. Further detail revealed this is two direct one-to-one image matches in one painting. I believe Roanoke is also the image that he was speaking of, as you will shortly see. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the 12 solutions posted at pbworks.com. Out of the remaining 9 unsolved puzzles, only one of these solutions is even close, and it is very close. This, of course, is Roanoke, which starts at the Wright Brothers Memorial and ends at the Waterside Theater. I will pause right here to make two things very clear. The first is both the Wright Brothers and Waterside Theater reside within national parks. Digging and or removing anything from a national park is a serious crime and carries federal charges. It has already been stressed on previous podcasts that between the bridges going to the island and the cameras, chances federal agents knocking on your door is 100% if you choose to ignore these warnings. The second thing to be made clear is David Halleck, Superintendent for the National Parks of Eastern North Carolina, as well as his staff, have been already made aware and given the same information and dig site I am about to present. Mr. Halleck will also be the first to receive a link to this video. Last, I again stressed the fact that all national park rules, regulations, and laws need to be followed at all times. With that being said, and going back to the PB Works solution, we will start right after the line to Micah and Driftwood, which directs you to Waterside Theater. With the North Carolina Puzzles immigration connection being English, this makes perfect sense, because this is where the play The Lost Colony is performed. The tale of the English colony that settled Roanoke Island in 1587 and then mysteriously disappeared. An extremely famous and historically significant event of English history in America. The Lost Colony is the longest running play and has been performed at Waterside since its premiere in 1937 and has been seen by many famous names, including President Franklin Roosevelt, who attended the play's very first performance. The play was written by a man named Paul Green, whose achievements and accolades are far too many to list here, and as well as being an extremely successful and famous American playwright, was also a well-known human and civil rights leader. The outdoor Waterside Theater itself was built by English-born architect Albert Quentin Skipper Bell. Another English connection. Inside the theater, there is a memorial plaque for Mr. Bell, which I believe PB Works has correctly associated with the bell's significance in the painting. The stage at the Waterside Theater has an extremely unique and familiar shape. Now where have I seen this shape before? Oh yes, the Roanoke window, which not only matches exactly in shape, but also in the fact that you are able to view open sky through that same shape, exactly like the window. This is one of the two direct one-to-one image matches that Mr. Palancar spoke of. The other direct one-to-one match I am about to explain. It is also within the Waterside Theater, and also, without a doubt, the one and only burial site of the Roanoke cast, explained at last. Inside the theater, 20 feet or so from the Albert Quentin Bell Memorial, is a statue of the author of The Lost Colony I just spoke of, Paul Green. I will stop here briefly to clear up some confusion and misinformation in the treasure hunting community about this statue. I have heard tales that many think, and that supposedly there has even been a park ranger who was asked and mistakenly answered that the statue was not placed in the theater until the 1990s, and that it had possibly been moved from its original placement. Both of these pieces of information are incorrect. Several historic websites list the placement of the statue in Waterside Theater as taking place in 1981 after Green's death. There's also an article in which speaks of the statue of Paul Green witnessing every single performance of the play from its original spot since its placement there in 1981. A cultural landscapes inventory from 2010, one of many conducted by the National Park Services themselves and are extremely accurate, states the statue was placed in its current location after Green's death. Last, but definitely not least, the Roanoke Times of Roanoke, Virginia ran an article on Sunday, December 13th, 1981. It reads, Manteo, North Carolina. Paul Green, author of the outdoor drama The Lost Colony, will be memorialized with a bronze sculpture at the Waterside Theater. So as you can see, it has been thoroughly documented by the few examples shown here and undoubtedly many more newspaper and internet articles, historical websites, etc. The statue was placed in the theater in 1981 and has not moved. Now that has been straightened out, let's see this statue. It looks again eerily familiar to something I've seen before. Oh yes, the knight. I give you the second direct one-to-one image match and the treasure site. Let's break it down now, shall we? Both are busts which sit upon a square stand with a green marble top. The Paul Green statue is made of bronze. The knight appears to be medieval plate armor made also of bronze. Paul Green, medieval knight. I say again, Paul Green portrayed as a medieval knight. Is that some sort of clever clue? I believe it is. Have you ever heard the tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight? It is a very famous Arthurian legend dating back to the 14th century. It has since inspired and been adapted into many works of literature as well as TV shows and films, with actors such as Dave Patel and authors such as J.R.R. Tolkien. Being so well known, even in 1981, you can see this is an easily made connection or representation. Paul Green, the Green Knight. You would also be able to stand behind the Paul Green statue and line it up in the stage's opening exactly like the knight in the window in the painting. Also from this alignment, if Paul Green's left arm was straightened out to match the knight's arm in the painting, the bell memorial would be directly under the left arm, exactly like the bells portrayed hanging in the painting. But what about the right arm in the painting and the things and strings on it, you might say, as the Paul Green bust doesn't have a right arm? That I would have to agree, and you are right, but let me show you, and you will see that neither does the knight, if the clues are followed as they are meant to be. There is at least 3 distinct clues to remove or cut off the right arm of the knight in the painting. The first, in yellow, and speaking of attachments on the arm, Mr. Palancar said this was meant to be the contraption the knights used to practice jousting, called a quintain. It has a ball with a knobby pattern resembling a mace on one end and a blade resembling a scythe on the other. When the ball was struck, it would spin and the blade would cut. The knobby pattern on the ball exactly matches the pattern on the piece of right shoulder plate armor. Outlined in purple, this is the first clue to cut the right arm at the shoulder. Also, there is a key hanging from the blade. Look closely at the shape of it. Now, look at the shape of the outline in the armpit of the right arm. It exactly matches the shape of the key outlined in green. This is your second clue to remove the arm. Last, there is a cut string hanging from the right arm in red. This is the third clue to cut off the arm. After removing the knight's right arm, it now exactly matches the Paul Green statue. Remember the quote, "The paintings are where it is buried and hiding in plain sight." Once again, this appears to be completely accurate. Now, let's examine the Paul Green bust's left arm and pick up where we left off in the verse. That which may be last touched. Have you ever heard the saying that someone is touched in the head or something similar? In blue you can see Paul Green has a finger up near the side of his head near his temple. This line of the verse speaks of your mind. In old age, if your body breaks down first, your mind may be last touched, or vice versa. Next line, or first seen standing, is shown in red. This refers to the index finger standing or extended next to the head. The index finger is considered the first of the fingers medically. Also, when you put up a number 1 or say you are first, this is done with the same finger. Look north at the wing. This line also refers to the left arm of the Paul Green bust. As you can see, shown in yellow, it is bent in the wing position. Commonly known and easily noticeable, the bird dance was a craze that swept the USA and the United Kingdom from 1980 to 1982. Also, this is a well-known gesture to physically call someone a chicken shown in movies like Lonesome Dove and others. And dig. Here you are being instructed to dig. To stand at Paul Green's left arm, face north, and dig. Right there, directly in front of the Paul Green statue. The rest of the verse lines are meant to be a sort of red herring or fake out. As it has also been pointed out by P.B. Works, facing north from anywhere in the Waterside Theater puts you facing the direction of the Wright Brothers Memorial, where the solution starts. And with the following lines of the verse almost exactly matching the inscription on the Wright Brothers Memorial, this is diabolical and confusing and an easily made mistake. But I again point out to you, you were already instructed to dig previous to those lines. That is a considerable amount of easily made connections and understandable matches. But are there any more? And what about the unique red skirt? Besides matching the colors of some of the earliest known bronze plate armor, the pattern is very unique and distinct. The technique the artist who created the original clay bust was also unique and distinct. Upon closer inspection of the bust, I believe undoubtedly that this style was the inspiration for the skirt's pattern and or shape. Last, on the original painting, and in light of the two spellings of Boston, you can easily imagine a P and a G on the shoulder plates of the knight's armor, outlined here. So that is the gist of the main things missed in the secret image number 3. But that's not the only image with secrets, as you will shortly see. If you made it this far, thank a lucky star, for you are for sure a 4-leaf clover. I'm about to bring things up to par. The time for half measures and talk is over. Everyone remembers this image and the conversations and questions that came with it. Are there connections, clues, or clever nods in other JJP works outside the secret paintings? I feel those questions have since been answered by Mr. Palencar many times in several ways. The answer is yes. You're more than welcome to listen to the interviews or look up the exact quotes, but in a nutshell, saying he has been paying Byron homage, that he does hide things repetitively, that some of those things may have to do with the secret. He has described and referenced various artists, inspirations, and influences for his unique artistic style, as well as given both descriptive and visualistic examples of how things are hidden in his works. You have heard Kit describe his father as painting with thousands and thousands of little strokes, painting with a few hairs and some air. Side note, Kit is not to be underestimated either. There has also been recent talk of a second signature in a secret painting too small for the naked eye to see. If you listen closely and pay attention to what is being said, this opens a door to unlimited possibilities. Some of you I know would demand to know why would Mr. Palancar do this before considering it as a possibility, and would not be satisfied without a direct answer or specific reasons. I feel Mr. Palancar has already made those reasons very clear. Instead of projecting my perception of Mr. Palancar's words on you, I will offer you a simpler answer from an artist Mr. Palancar himself has attributed as an early influence, Salvador Dali. When asked why he would paint a painting with his mustache, his answer was simply, why not? So with that being said, and the possibilities I've shown, I will give you 2 examples and a few Roanoke clues, and then the rest is up to you. First go to Origins, page 122, and I will give you eyes that are new. It's been going on since '82, believe it or not, but I swear it's true. This is a painting called The Black School.